All right, welcome to today's vlog. This is the last one of the week, and today I'm just going to talk about how consistency is the best training tool that you'll ever have. The more that I have been kind of putting myself out there and the sense of these videos and with vets and with the muscling gym and just getting into more conversations with people, the one thing that comes up that I notice is there's so many questions about how to get things done, and by any means I do not know all the answers. I'm always trying to search to find the answers, but the one common thing, the one commonality with whatever you are trying to do is overarching, that no matter what, whoever has found success in what they're doing, whether it's nutrition, whether it's sports, whether it's performance, whether it's sprinting, whether it's nutrition, whether it's business, whatever it is, the overarching successful trait is consistency. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do things over and over and over and over and over again, and you don't do them well, you will not get where you want to go. It's really in the small, it's unbelievable how powerful just being consistent with small, very, very small details over time will get you results. Like each and every day, can you get a little bit better? Like, can you read 10 pages a day? Like, can you be on top of your food better than you were the day before? Like, can you stick to a plan for more than a week? Like, you know what I mean? And this is something that, especially when it came to like my lifts and like the powerlifting, I was a program hopper big time. I still kind of am in a sense. But like for me to write a plan and then stick to it for more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it was very hard for me to do, only because I was so curious. I still am, but I was so curious, so interested in learning about these topics and learning these different populations that I wanted to see, okay, what does this feel like? How can you organize this better so that in the moment you were getting better, a better feeling, should I put my fast sprints here or should I put my dynamic lift here? So next week, let me change it. Or if I put my hamstring stuff here, will that affect the sprints here? Or if I do squat and deadlift here, will that affect my bench? I was just thinking about the feel of the week. I wasn't thinking long term, and that wasn't sustainable because I literally just kept changing everything. It kept changing. There was no structured plan that I was consistent with. Once I started getting on the consistent plan and just doing it, focus on being as good as possible in the movements over and over and over and over and over again, and making sure that the days that I plan to go hard, I went as hard as possible. The days I plan to reel it back, I reeled it back. And I've been doing that for 8 months now. And I've seen incredible improvements, more consistent than I've seen, since high school. And that no matter what the program scheme was, no matter what I've been doing, I know it's consistency. It's consistency in sticking to the plan, and it's consistency in being as good as I can with my food and my nutrition and my sleep and my recovery. I've been trying to be as consistent as possible with those. There's ups and there's downs, there's fluctuation, there's times where you mess up and you eat bad, right? But it's okay, it's part of life, you're a human. And then there's times where you miss, you over prioritize something, you have too much on your plate, you got to push a workout to another day, or a scheduling issue comes up and you can't get things done the way you want to. That stuff happens. But overarching, bang, 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 do it as best as you can over and over and over again. Without consistency, you will not get where you want. You can't even get a good idea of what the problem is until you have consistency of what you're doing. And this is something that I'm really buying into, and that's also to thank the guys over at Muscling Gym, because the way that they even have their business model set up is for consistency. It's for long-term buy-in. They don't even want to work with somebody if they don't have the understanding that you can't come in here for a month. You need to be in here for at least 3 months for you to see something. And if you really want this thing to work, then you got to commit long-term. And that's the same model that I'm going to develop and use with the athletes that I train, the teams that I train, that listen, this is a deal that you got to buy into for the long term, because I'm not here to just train you for a couple weeks in the off season. Do you want to be the best? Like, what are you doing this training for? You're doing this training so that these athletes can not only become better humans and better people, learn how to work hard, learn how to show up on time, learn how to be accountable, learn how to set goals. They're also doing it so they can perform better in season and competition season on the field. So if you just have my services there for 6 weeks in the off season, and then you go in and start doing what you were doing in the old ways of doing things right up into the season, throughout the season, well, what was this progress for? There was no consistency. There was no consistency in the stress applied. Stress application is what we do as coaches, what we do as trainers in the exercise science field, and even from a practice standpoint when it comes to like skill development, it's stress application. You are stress managers, right? So we're trying to manage how much stress we put on them over time. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, like how can I apply stress that will lead to transferable performance on the field, or the opportunity for transferable performance on the field. That is our job. But it takes consistency. You have to do it for a long time, and you have to be really, really good at doing that. Jim Wendler, the creator of 531, has a podcast with Travis Mash on the Barbell Life podcast. Part 2, he talks about, he says, like, all we do is we get 51 weeks of really good training in, trying to do the little things right as best we can all the time. And their results are incredible. But he's like, it takes the consistency. Like we try to get the best training possible. We do everything. We try to do the little things right over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the boring. That's the boring that nobody wants to hear. That's the boring stuff that people don't believe is going to work because it's not flashy. It's not this. People aren't puking. People aren't shaking. They're like, no, get good work in. Get high quality work. Don't fail any reps. Don't max anything out. Like have high quality sprints. Be fresh for games. Be fresh in practice, and understand your scheme and play. You know, play as hard as you can. It's a mindset that I have for vets. Like the way he has constructed his reality, Jim Wendler, the way they've constructed the reality for his athletes is the way that I want to construct my reality for a verified elite training system. That's how it needs to be. And that takes not just buy-in for, you know, paying for the service for me to get your athletes physically better. It's going to mean buy-in into a philosophy for your practices, for the way you manage fatigue, for the way you manage stress for your teams. And that's something that without this mindset, without that understanding of consistency over time, that it's going to be an interesting deal to see who will buy into that. So that's how I want to end the week. That's it. Have a good night.